Good morning and welcome to our new edition of the Hindu Mediji. As we know that no confidence motion is going on in the Indian Parliament, so the front page news is dominated by Amit Shah's speech in the Parliament as well as Rahul Gandhi's as an opposition leader Rahul Gandhi's speech. Basically, the Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah appeals for peace in Manipur and he backs CM Biren Singh on the grounds that he says that it's a very much shameful and regrettable fact that ethnic violence has has continued for such a long time, but and regarding the things that has happened in their heinous nature of crime and all, what he says that it is very shameful, but more so shameful that those who politicize it for their political agenda. It should not. It's not a subject to politicize. And he counters the opposition's demand that why not Prime Minister is voicing his concern more often on this violence. He says that earlier it's not a new thing that Manipur has seen ethnic violence. Earlier also he quotes an instance where the even only Minister of State for Home Affairs responded to the ethnic violence in Manipur. So he says that center is taking all the measures to control since it has other issues linked to Myanmar junta's decisions, because you know it very well that Kuki communities are fighting in Myanmar against the ruling junta military government, and thereby there is an influx of refugees from Myanmar, Kuki refugees, those who have sheltered in Manipur and Mizoram. And he said that these are the issues and things are being now under control. Assam Rifles has been given more buffer zones and all to operate in, and things are getting under control. One more news is in the front page section is regarding the, as you said, that Home Minister had asked for Kuki-Jo leaders to meet one by one in Delhi, and he has asked them to first peace then political discussion. That is the crux of the matter, that first violence should come to an end, then we'll talk about the political or administrative demands that are being asked by Kuki-Jo communities. One more news in front page section is that Indian government is very much willing, it's in dire need of its having own web browser. You know that in yesterday's news we talked about that our defense ministry has installed its own operating system known as Maya to connect computers connected to internet. Likewise, you should be knowing that we don't have our own web browser like Google Chrome or Fire, what is the name of that one? Firefox, Microsoft Edge, like these sort of web browsers we don't have. We have technicality, some issues that this program that they have launched a competition and a huge amount of money has been given that those developers who come out with this and our own indigenous web browser will be rewarded. It's India for the safety and security from the ransomware, cyber attacks. We need to have our own web browser. Till now it is eluding us. Then we come to one news that we discuss in the state section. They have given about orbit reduction maneuver of Chandrayaan. Orbit reduction maneuver of Chandrayaan 3 performed. You know that our moon mission, third moon mission, that is known as Chandrayaan 3. It was launched and it is in the process. That spacecraft is now in the lunar orbit, and it is the ISRO through its telemetry center in Bengaluru controls the orbit maneuver of Chandrayaan spacecraft, and it is in the process of in this month itself it will come to the final conclusion when lander will reach in the south pole of moon. So this is that is they have done. The 2 more maneuvers are needed to make it more and more close to lunar orbit. Okay, and so that if they have designed, the lander has been designed in such a manner that even if in the process of landing and separating the propulsion module from the lander module, PM and LM, propulsion module from lander module, even if the lander loses its sensors, then still it will work. And including that, one ISRO chief is visiting Japan for more moon missions, polar moon missions. Then we come to our editorial section. In editorial section, the first one editorial, that is that 70s show proposed licensing for computing devices imports dents India's credibility. You have heard of that recent news that government of India has put on curbs on importing laptops, tablets from other countries, mainly China, that we know that very much how they do it. They bring parts here, assemble here and sell in India. So government has come out with measures that now you have to take a license if you wish to import laptop, tablets. So the article says that it reminds of the days of license permit Raj of the 1970s, when everything has to be licensed or given regions, and permit will be issued to buy the computers and things like that. But this also says that there is no feasible reason, it appears, for doing these measures. When the backlash started from the industry, then ministry went back and said that okay, these measures will be effective from November 1st till the status quo will be maintained. And the thing is that editorial asked the question that if it is being said that we import laptops and tablets from China, and it may be having a spyware installed in that, there are mechanisms to check them. We can check that at the entry point itself. And if it is the measure to start the production in India of these things, then you cannot force them, because if things are cheaper in somewhere else, then of course company is very much capital intensive, and they will not see a law, they could not follow these things. So this is something that a decision regarding the licensing of the import of, the government of India has said that you will get in a minute, you will get the license, no problem regarding that, and we only streamline the things and focus on manufacturing indigenous Make in India effort. Then we have another news is chasing consensus, the international community can push Russia and Ukraine towards talk. Then another editorial, that is chasing consensus. You know that Jeddah, the Jeddah conference has been held, Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, and Jeddah conference was held on the issue of Ukraine's invasion by Russia. Okay, and 42 nations participated, and they did not invite Russia. Earlier chapter in Copenhagen talks, China also was not participant because it had some issues and all. But this time China has participated in the Jeddah conference that deals with how to find a solution for Ukraine crisis. And major BRIC nations like Brazil, South Africa, India, and all the stakeholders, especially US, European countries, have participated in this. Saudi Arabia is the place because they feel that Saudi Arabia, India and China are closer to Russia. So this conference was having that a consensus should develop to find a solution. But thing is that how to find a consensus on the contentious issue of Ukraine crisis. And the problem is that Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian chief, he says that any talk, any agreement, any ceasefire will start only once that Russia leaves all its territories. That is the beginning point for the starting of a discussion. Whereas Russia is adamant that the Ukrainian territories that it has annexed should be acknowledged, should be accepted as sovereign, and then then only it can start talks on this. So two very much different. Zelensky wants Russia to leave all the land that it has occupied, including Crimea. That was in 2014 it was occupied. Then Donbass region, in this recent attack, it has been taken by Russia. So it's all five, and Russia is there that they should accept, not only there is no talk on Crimea, and they should accept Donbass regions also. So this article talks about that even after retreating from Kharkiv and certain regions in Ukraine, Russia is still maintaining its balance in 1,000 long kilometers bordering eastern Ukraine and southern Ukraine part. So it's like chasing. It's not yet visible, but it is Western nations, especially NATO countries and European Union, wishes that India and China should come forward and have some mechanism to bring Vladimir Putin on a negotiating table, because this war is going on for 18 months now. And everybody is affected. You know, in the modern day globalized era, nobody is insular or separate or isolated. Things are being affected by that one. Then another article in this section is stop the fence sitting in cluster bomb use. Stop the fence sitting in cluster bombs use. Okay, basically cluster bombs or cluster munitions. Okay, it's a sort of a bomb that explodes in bomblets, droplets, bomblets, small splinters, and some of them are dead, means they don't explode even after touching the ground or the target. So they remain in a very hibernation, and in future they may explode. So it's a very dangerous. Cluster munition or cluster bombs are very dangerous phenomena, and due to this reason it was used in Second World War mainly. But later on USA has used it in Vietnam War, also in Afghanistan, in Iraq, USA has used. Okay, so seeing its nature, that Geneva Convention, Geneva Treaty, Geneva Convention, 1949 Geneva Convention that control the international war situations, that how should be target, and it says that only military target should be the prime target, and apart from that civilian destruction should be avoided at any cost. And the munition bombs or cluster munitions or cluster bombs are like they create disproportionate amount of destruction, especially of civilian population. Even if the war is over, then also it remains a problematic things for the country where it has been used. So the problem is that what is the crux of the article is that there is the Convention on Cluster Munitions. Okay, it's a 2008. In 2008, there is a mechanism was developed, that Convention on Cluster Munitions. It was that the countries will ban use of this. Not only ban use, but use, storage, stockpiling, supplying of cluster bombs will be banned. But major players have not signed this treaty, like US, India, Israel, China, Russia, Ukraine. These countries have not signed this. Major countries, most of them, 100 countries have signed this, and it is not something like UNO enforced 100% compliant or something like that. So this Convention on Cluster Munitions 2008 mandates that supply, production, storage, use should be avoided at any cost, because it goes beyond Geneva Conventions war measures. But thing is that major players, as I said, that Russia, Ukraine, India, China, US. Now what is the relevance in the Russian-Ukraine war? Russia has used cluster bombs in Ukraine. In city centers it has been used. Now USA is providing Ukraine cluster munitions to use against Russia, and that is very dramatic development, and it should be avoided. And And this article also goes against that the logic that American cluster munitions are more effective. It means dud rate is less, so they doesn't come under the Geneva Convention of disproportionate destruction of enemy territories. These are bogus things. Basically, this should be accepted by all parties and it should be avoided at any cost. Then we have another article on the calculus behind political neutrality. It's a highly political article, but we should be knowing every Indian is a political by birth and political economy and things are genetic by nature. So highly politicized society we live in. And this article written by Asim Ali, he is a very famous and a very respected political researcher and columnist. And he says that the calculus behind political, the topic is the calculus behind political neutrality. Basically it deals with that, you know, that NDA versus India, the Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance that has been formed by the 26 opposition-led party that was formed in Patna and later on they have met in Bengaluru. And so this India acronym that they developed versus NDA, National Democratic Alliance, led by ruling party Narendra Modi. Now there are some parties which are neither, they are which you could say sandwiched between them. And that is the Biju Janata Dal of Orissa, led by Naveen Patnaik, then YSR Congress led by Kiran Reddy in Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana Rashtra Samiti or Bharat Rashtra Samiti, now they call themselves BRS, TRS, earlier it was BRS, led by Chief Minister of Telangana. So this Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, earlier you know that both were the same state. Telangana and TRS, YSR, Krishna Reddy's party and Naveen Patnaik's Biju Janata Dal. These three parties are, how do they operate? Their traditional enemy is Congress. So they have developed sort of mechanism with the present ruling government, like they give way to parliamentary elections in a certain manner to BJP, that they win certain seats, member of Lok Sabha seats they win in the areas, but assembly seats are owned by the respective parties. And they have developed a mechanism wherein you might be knowing that recently on Delhi bills in Rajya Sabha it was needed support of the parties because BJP doesn't have majority in the upper house of Indian Parliament, and for that they needed support of. So Biju Janata Dal came out and YSR Congress also came out to help BJP legislate Delhi bills. The Delhi Capital Territory Amendment Bill that was passed and which was being opposed by not only AAP led by Arvind Kejriwal, but even the India, the opposition grouping that has come out. So this article basically deals with these three chhatraps, that regional chhatraps that we call, and how do they handle the opposition. So they feel that BJP is more so good for them because, and they have a cordial relations with the national leadership, and so thereby they take measures for their state, and they are more concerned with their state politics and where they are predominant. Next one we will go for the text context section. We have in the text context section we have can SMRs help India achieve net zero? SMR, a small modular reactors, a small nuclear modular, a small modular reactors, a small nuclear modular reactor, SMR, a small modular reactor, that is nuclear. Now you know that nuclear power plants in India and all over the world, they say that is 10% of electricity responsible. But normal nuclear power plants are very much difficult, and it takes lots of time and cost overrun, and it has other issues also, and productivity is not also that much high. So now a new trend has come out, that is SMRs, small modular nuclear reactors. They have capacity of 300 megawatts. That is a quite good capacity, and it can be facilitated anywhere. It has no such big issues, and it's a fuel that enriched uranium is also not a big issue. It can be procured easily. So this article says that there should, in India also there should be mechanism, because recently Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when visited USA, he has signed a treaty with US regarding SMRs, small nuclear modular reactors. Modular, you understand, modular kitchen. So like modular reactor, it's something like a very universal design and easy to produce and easy to establish and run. So it's a good development, and this article says that it's necessary. India has given a net zero target of 2070. You know it very well, that carbon emission target of 20. So decarbonization. Our most of the electricity is now right now it's coal based. National Thermal Power Corporation of India has more than 80% supply of electricity. We have to somehow de-risk it from coal based for the decarbonization process, and for that nuclear power plants, that conventional nuclear plants, power plants are very much cost and time taking process, and it is not that much effective, and lots of concern also. So it's a good win-win situation, you could say. Not good, it's a win-win situation that we go for a small modular reactors that will be easy to install even in the decommissioned thermal power plants. It can be commissioned and it can be utilized to feed the grid, national grid system. You know that electricity generated from all over the areas are fed into central grid, and thereby according to use it is being provided to the areas where the central grid system works like that. So it says that for decarbonization and other purposes, and when we talk of renewable energy, then solar and wind power energy alone cannot suffice. So we need to take into consideration nuclear power plants, and nuclear power plant conventional is very difficult to achieve. So go for small modular nuclear reactors that are easy to commission and install, and it says that government should come out with the public-private partnership, and norms should be International Atomic Energy Commissions, and India it has own nuclear power commission. So these bodies should come forward and provide measures so that we can critical gap that is there for grid longevity and reliability of electricity, so we can go for that. It's a beautiful article and it's a great design. It has been published. Please go through that one. Then one beautiful article is this is the month of August is celebrated as Women in Translation, a unique gauge that opens up a world of new experiences. You know that there are some great writers like great Ismat Chugtai, Kurtulin Haider, Krishna Sobti, Mahasweta Devi, Elena Ferrante, Arnier Knox, Gitanjali, Shri. These writers, again I say that this month of August is being celebrated as the Women in Translation, and it quotes examples of the writers like Ismat Chugtai, Kurtulin Haider, Arnie Ernox, Elena Ferrante, Mahasweta Devi or Gitanjali Shri could have not been known to others language reading people if they had not been translated into English by renowned people. And it has led to an opening of a new universe where people are aware of Mahasweta Devi's Draupadi, Mahasweta Devi's works like Hazar Chaurasme Ki Maa, or Gitanjali Shri's character of Rajjo in her famous Sahitya Akademi winning work Mai, or recently Man Booker Prize winning The Tomb of the Sand. So these works are Nobel laureate Arnie Ernox, whose memoirs are depictions of day-to-day lives of a struggle of a common woman. So this writer emphasizes that translation should be given weightage, and it gives a great range of access to writers. So these great writers that we have just discussed. So and Reading writers like Annie Ernaux, Gitanjali Sri, Mahasatya Devi and others provide us insight into the cultural, historical and artistic milieu that shaped their ideas, which would have been lost to larger audience if not being translated. So this is a good article. You should be knowing these writers and you should be reading them. That's the thing is that then we have in the world news that China goes 10 months without envoy. China has no ambassador in India for last 10 months. God knows what. Then we have in the world news, in world one regarding the constitution bench going for the Article 370, the JK Constitution Limited Executive Power of Union of India, says Supreme Court. This you will follow up. Then we have in world section news that is regarding that Sri Lanka, you know that then Ranil Wickremesinghe when visited India, Indian Prime Minister asked for that implementation of 13A, that is constitutional amendment relating to Tamils, Sri Lankan minority Tamils residing in Jaffna Peninsula. So regarding that it says that Ranil tells House focusing on 13A without policing powers practical. It's a big debate going on in Sinhalese dominated Sri Lankan parliament regarding implementation of 13A amendment bill to give more powers to minority Tamils in Jaffna Peninsula. Then we have that's all. Thank you very much.